I have known my next guest for quite a few years, and I enjoy watching what she does. She's never afraid to get out there, experience the world, get out of her comfort zone, check things out, dive right into whatever she's doing and has interest in doing. Ashley Palmer became a live organ donor not too long ago, and today, amongst other things, she tells her story. Welcome to Walt's Kitchen Table, where I feature captivating stories from fascinating people. Let's get to it.
Okay, all right.
So it's kind of nice.
Good
Yeah,
for you.
December 1st.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just,
Yeah.
I don't miss it.
Yeah, we can get into that, I suppose. I was going to
No,
say,
just keep talking. It's all good.
yeah. Oh, are we on?
Yeah, we've been on for the last,
Zing. I had no idea.
well, that's the whole point.
Oh, that's so funny. So so since I donated, like there's no restrictions. Like I could have had a glass of wine the night before as long as I,
Well, it's a kidney.
well, yeah.
That's what it does.
Yeah. So, but because you still think of that and you go, well, is that okay? And I ended up giving up alcohol for Lent regardless.
Oh, okay.
So it all worked out. It's funny. I actually donated on Ash Wednesday. So, and totally wasn't thinking of that. But then as I was in the recovery room, it was like,
Do you have a glass of wine in the recovery?
well, no. I'm like all doped up. I mean, the crap they
you're
give you is,
Oh, I got a story for that.
oh my.
No
it had
wonder
me
they
on-
chase that stuff down, like drug addicts and stuff. Because when I had my back surgery,
Yes. But people, what I heard is people will have accidents kind of on purpose so they can go to the emergency room and like get dilaudid. And I was on dilaudid, and it was.
was that what I was on?
Laudanum.
Laudanum.
I'm sure it's like.
Oh
Laudanum
no,
or
sorry, that's
something.
from like a.
Yeah, that's like-
book.
yeah.
Sorry.
I'm like, didn't Sherlock Holmes take laudanum or
Well, to
something?
go what you were just
Yeah.
talking about, when I was put in the emergency room,
Yeah.
they took me off the stretcher from the ambulance
Mm-hmm.
onto the bed, in the emergency room. They didn't put a plate or anything. They just just dragged me across. In my back, I blew out my back. Well, then it bumped my back, and I screamed. And the lady above me was like, "Well, we know you're not faking."
Yeah. Oh,
And that's
wow.
what-
So they do it on purpose?
I don't-
Almost to make sure that
Oh,
you're.
I didn't even think of that. Maybe that's what they did it.
Or they know they kind of expect maybe people to come in. For
Yeah.
That, right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and
it's
they,
crazy.
And they put me on morphine, and then that wasn't taking the pain away, and then they
Then
put me in
up-
Twilight,
ups
right?
the
Is that what they
ante.
called it? Twilight or something, where they just kind of like,
That sounds like a lovely place to be.
yeah, they don't do it like, because I can't remember what she called it, but she's like, you're gonna be
Yeah.
able to like tell what's kind of going on,
Yeah.
but I didn't really know what was going on. But
Yeah.
man, it felt, when they did that, I was like, no wonder people come after this.
Yeah.
This is amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, it was crazy.
Well,
Oh.
it's
On that stuff.
so I was on that stuff, but I didn't like it because I get nauseous very easily. So because I suppose for some context, we're talking about my having donated a kidney recently. So
Well, we got to get into it. Let's back
yeah,
that up.
let's. I didn't know
how
that
the
we were
hell
even
did you-
on. So why don't we?
Yeah,
why don't
yeah.
we?
Well, that's the whole point. It's just we're having conversation, right?
Yeah.
So,
I'm gonna come back.
Yeah. Okay.
but let's. How did that even come about? So, one, you weren't even a donor. So,
I wasn't even
on your,
I wasn't even an organ donor. It's not on my driver's. It's still not technically on my driver's license, even though I've now registered, and I'll get into that too. But
how'd
yeah.
you go from like just walking down
fairly
the road?
quickly too. So I'll tell you
yeah.
how I kind of got the bug in my ear, if you will. So there, prior to a year and a half ago, I was of the thinking, and there's a lot of people out here that just, you're logically thinking, well, there's no way that would be the case, but then there's that 1% chance where you go, I'm sure you've heard this before, where people are saying, well,
It'll
what
never
if I'm
happen.
in a car accident, and they see I'm an organ donor, they're not going to try to resuscitate me and save me and all that kind of
I
stuff. And
think
you go,
that's a bunch of-
that's baloney. But what if?
What if, right?
You know, and it's, I think I always had the idea that if I were to meet my demise, I'd want my family members to know these are my wishes.
Right.
But the idea that, somebody outside of my family would have the knowledge that I wanted to donate an organ, like, would they try to save me? So when I, it was actually through the Morris County Chamber. I used to go to the Health and Wellness Committee quite frequently because of the business I was in at the time. And one of the meetings was at the New Jersey Sharing Network.
Okay.
And are you familiar with the New Jersey
No.
Sharing? So for those not familiar with the New Jersey Sharing Network, they're pretty much, the long and short of it is they're basically the main hub for deceased organ donation. So somebody dies.
Any organ, just
Any organ.
Okay.
Any organ. Somebody dies, and tissue as well.
Yeah, sure.
So someone dies, it gets called into the sharing network. They determine, okay, was the person that just passed, were they registered? Are they on this list? Are they an organ donor? And then they determine, okay, was that person, at the time that person passed, were they viable to donate? So let's put it this way. So the huge learning opportunity for me at this particular meeting, because I was learning, oh my God, like the misconceptions that I had were completely ridiculous. And it just got me thinking more or less. So the one thing that I had in the back of my mind that was completely squashed was you basically have to die in a hospital. You have to be hooked up to life support and brain dead for them to be able to.
Okay, so like if you're going down the road and you get in a car accident and you die
at the scene, you
can't donate.
No, if you have dropped out of a heart attack in your house,
Even like a liver or a kidney or any of that.
No,
because it's dead for too long, or
it's got to be pretty. They have to be able to immediately take it, and as long as conditions are right. I don't know about the other organs, but I do know that.
You're good.
I do know that kidneys can keep them alive for up to 3 days while they're waiting for transport.
Yeah, but if
things like that,
when them pulling them out of the hospital, right?
Yeah, that's not like
condition.
Yeah, if you're pronounced dead at a scene or something like that, they're not going to be able to.
Oh, so the myth of, hey, we're not going to resuscitate her because she's an organ donor.
Yeah,
or
we're not going to try to save her, that type of thing. So it's and the family is made aware of the situation too, and I'm no expert in this, so
right.
I would say anything, somebody can just go look up more information on the types of things that I'm saying. But I believe that they default to the wishes of the deceased. So if I've registered and I didn't tell my family, they're going to tell my family, and
hey, she's registered, we're taking her kidney.
Yeah. And so what they do say is, listen, if you are going to register, tell your family your wishes. So at the time of it's really difficult. They're being told that you've died.
Right.
So
and by the way, we're harvesting her organs.
So you just want to make that as easy as possible for your family. Just let them know of your wishes, and
now,
so that can be taken care of.
You personally, you going to be cremated, or do you want to be buried?
I'm probably going to be cremated.
Yeah, I don't get the burial thing. I know there's some religious stuff with that, but
I
you're a
think
piece of meat at that point.
Yeah, and I suppose there are people that will still have a viewing at a funeral home, and then they can do
with the ashes, right? Or just
I've seen it. I can't
where
remember.
they have the viewing with the body, then burn
and then they cremate it. And I think people kind of need that closure.
Maybe, yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah, but why would you have a closed casket and then a big portrait of them from 20 years ago?
I know.
Just have the portrait somewhere.
But
anyway,
people have whatever feelings and quirks, and I certainly won't make anybody wrong for their decision. For me, it's just I'm gone, and this is my my wish. So my favorite flowers are lilies of the valley.
Okay.
And so what I want is when I die, for me to be cremated and mixed with seeds of lilies of the valley
And grow them.
Yeah, and given to family, friend, people that were close to me, and just say, hey, look, take these and go sprinkle them out somewhere. And that way, whenever you see the lilies of the valley, come out of the ground, then you'll think of me.
Now, do you have all that written out?
No, I don't.
See,
But lots of people know.
Like my wife Val, she wants to be in it's called a mushroom death suit.
What's that?
It's like you're put in the same type of thing, but in a bigger scale,
Sure.
right? That you don't get cremated.
Death suit. That just sounds dark.
Right. So the whole body is put in this it looks like a burlap sack, but it's got these seeds from these mushrooms in it, or whatever, pores, or I guess they're pores with a mushroom. But because they say when your body breaks down in the ground, we have so many toxins in our body, it's bad, right?
Sure.
So I guess this
Kind of detoxes.
the mushrooms.
Sure.
Yeah.
Ah, interesting.
Yep.
And I've also seen the, what are they called? They're biodegradable urns, and they put a seed of a tree in it or something like that.
Yeah. Because you become fertilizer just like anything else.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
It's a circle of life.
there's a funny George Carlin bit where he's talking about
George
how
Carlin. Oh my God, classic.
Where he's talking about how cemeteries are such a waste of space, and he's like, "What are we doing? Look at all this
Right.
fertile soil out there. We can be turning this over and using."
Well, even here in Jersey, you
yeah.
go down the Parkway going south.
Oh yeah,
You can tell that the Parkway goes right in the middle of that cemetery. They had to dig all that up and make
that's
room for
huge,
that.
yep.
That's a huge cemetery.
Huge.
I agree with him. What do you need all that room
Yeah.
for?
But
again, that's people's wishes, and there's
Exactly.
all sorts of stuff people believe in and enjoy. So if that makes them happy or that gives
Exactly.
them closure, so be it.
exactly.
Anyway, back to how you
Sure.
got donating.
Yeah, so I went to that session at the New Jersey Sharing Network, and it quieted my mind with a lot of it wasn't even on my radar. Number one, I just happened to be going to this meeting, and the misconceptions that I had were gone. I said, okay, well, those were all silly, and but outside of thinking about it for maybe trailing for the next few days, it was kind of out of sight, out of mind. And then maybe 2 months later, a friend of mine so Roseanne de Torres, she shared on Facebook a GoFundMe page for like a friend of hers. And it was for this woman who needed a kidney. And
by the way, Roseanne is just a mutual friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, you got to remember that.
Yeah. So she posted this, and there was a video. It wasn't just a GoFundMe page there was a video that went along with it. So I watched the video, and it was this woman who had been on dialysis for 7 years, and she's 57 or so, I believe, and dialysis for 7 years, 3 days a week, 4 hours. It's either 3 days a week, 4 hours at a time, or 4 days a week, 3 hours at a time. I can't remember, but
we go like to a center and like sit in a big chair and
dialysis center.
Whoa.
Yep, and it's not really a way to live. She was definitely asking for money for her out-of-pocket expenses because, of course, there are,
sure.
co-pays
Now, why
and things
was
like that.
how did she get to that point to begin with?
So she has PKD, which is polycystic kidney disease.
Now, is that
Man, I tell you what, if you've got a strong stomach, Google PKD kidneys. It's startling to see what these kidneys look like.
it's not where they get like really big, are they?
Yes, they can get to the size of both the kidneys can become the size of footballs, and they're covered in these cysts. And I don't know what hers were working at, but I believe it was like less than 7%. I could be wrong on that. I can't remember, but
Now, is that a genetic thing?
yeah.
Okay.
So, and I know for her case, she didn't realize until she was in her 30s, and I should have actually asked her permission to use her name today, but
No, we don't need to mention her name.
Yeah. So I'll just I won't mention her name, but she found out in her 30s that it was a congenital disease. She got it from her mother, and her mother had passed from this when she was about her age. So it was kind of it was a thing that she was going to have to face. So she's a woman facing her mortality, and and begging for somebody to help her. And, I had learned through the process that there were people that had tried to donate to her. And I actually have a list of reasons why family members end up not being able to donate their kidneys, which I'll get into. But nobody was able to donate to her
And then
of her friends and her family. So
she goes in a registry, I imagine.
Oh, and
right?
she'd been on a registry. You pretty much just go on anyway, from what I gather.
Okay.
So and then in the meantime, because you'll be on a list for the deceased donor kidney,
Okay.
and then you'll have people who are living that are trying to see if they can donate. So I saw this GoFundMe page, and I just kind of felt like,
Careful.
oh, so sorry. I just kind of felt like I had to do this. It felt very right. It just, I don't know. It was just this
Just came
moment
over
of,
you and
yeah,
said-
it was just moment of clarity. And my first thought was, well, what's my blood type? That was my first thought after watching her video. And it was so funny because then I texted Roseanne and I said, do you know what her blood type is? She was like, well, why? And I said, well, because I think I'm healthy as far as I know. I think I've got 2 kidneys. So whatever, why not? And she was like, wait, are you serious? And I said, yeah. How do I don't know. So she said, let me get you in touch with her partner. So she put me in touch with her partner, and it kind of all went from there. That was last April. So April of 2018 that I made the decision. And then of course I, reach out. I can't remember if I called my boyfriend or I texted him and I said, I think I'm going to donate my kidney. And he's a worrier to the nth degree.
Oh.
So he was like, what are you like, he thought I was insane, like literally insane.
Well, I mean, okay, so there's plenty of questions that come up
Sure.
automatically, and you've probably heard them all.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, it's not a family member. It's
Yeah.
not somebody you're close to. Whams, if you need it later
Yep.
in life, all that kind of stuff. So, like, did you and Arnie?
Artie. Yeah.
Artie. Talk, like, how did that conversation go? Like, do you plan on having kids, and then
Yeah.
later down the road, if your
Sure.
kid needs, I mean,
So-
it's the whole ifs and like we talked
Yeah,
about earlier,
so-
but that's what people, I imagine, you just got hammered with those questions.
Sure. So there were the people that were like, wow, that's really great. Like, let me know what you need from me. Yeah, and then there
And
were
walk
the
away going, what the fuck?
No, there are some people that were super support, that I'm connected with spiritually, so they got it.
Okay,
They got my
okay.
why pretty much instantly. And other people need a little bit more explanation. They're going to think more from a logical stance. So I got that. And so of course I got the questions. Yeah, it's not a family member. Why would you even consider doing this? I also, why wouldn't her family donate? Like, what are they?
Well,
They don't love her enough to donate, that type of thing.
Okay, and is that going into the questions or the list that you have why family
Yeah.
members don't?
So I'll tell you how. So sometimes family members are just like, Uncle Jim's an asshole and I don't want to donate to him. There are people like that, and it is what it is.
Yeah. I guess.
But for the people that do want to donate, so think about this. You've got a brother or a sister that you want to donate to, and you're going through the process, and I'll get into what that process was, what the screening process was. And then you find out, I can't because of a medical reason. Can you imagine how soul crushing that might be for the person that wants to give life to their sibling, their mother, their father, whatever, and then you find out that you can't. So some of those reasons, and there are many more, this is a very short list, are kidney stones.
So if you've had kidney stones or if you have them,
I'm not sure. I'm
Okay.
not sure.
I could see both. I could see reasons.
I had heard
obviously
both.
if you do have them.
Yeah, of course, if you do have them. But I had heard both. If you've had kidney stones in the past, is that kidney more likely to get them in the future? Will that cause more problems? Yeah.
Sure.
So kidney stones, renal artery blockages, having one kidney. Some people don't find out until the screening process that
No
they
shit.
only have one kidney.
Ah.
Yeah, crazy. Additional arteries. So you're supposed to have, I believe, it's like one vein, one artery, and one and the ureter that goes into the bladder.
Right.
And some people have multiple of either the vein or the
So you got to have at least one?
well, yeah, one of each. But so having too many can be bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay.
one woman that posted, I'm a member on this Facebook group for living kidney donors. There's like 5,000 members. It's great. It's worldwide. It's great for people who are going through the process to ask questions from people that have gone through the process already.
Of course.
So some people are on this group and then they get to the point where they've been told they can't donate. And one particular woman had 4 arteries or veins or whatever it was, and she was told she couldn't. So I don't know where that ended up going, but I think it's more complications for the surgery.
Sure.
So that's another one.
Makes it more complicated to match up, I imagine, if you...
Yeah, and it's like, I don't know, do they just leave the arteries or veins hanging there, flopping around in the bottom?
Cut
I
it
have
off,
no
snip it
idea. I have no idea. But high blood pressure, pressure, diabetes, and blood clots. So that's a short list of reasons why people can't donate.
So like when you went in to get tested, they probably did like an ultrasound or something on your kidneys to do all that. And then
I don't know that they did an ultrasound.
I was just wondering how they find out if you have like multiple veins and doing all that.
You have an X-ray. You have a
Okay.
CAT scan with contrast as well.
Okay, all right. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry,
So the types. So the screening is. Oh my God! It's what I'll preface this by saying. It is the most thorough workup you'll ever get as a healthy person. Truly.
Oh, I can imagine.
You're never going to get a CAT scan with contrast without having something wrong with you.
Yeah.
So it's pretty
Now,
surreal.
is the cost all covered?
No. Oh, so everything went through her insurance.
So there's no cost to you?
No cost
other
for
than
me. Yeah.
Giving up a kidney.
Yeah. I should say before I get into the testing, there's quite a bit of interrogation, if you will.
Well, I was going to say, that was one of my
Yeah.
questions. Did you have like a psychological test and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, I don't know
Like,
how officially psychological it was necessarily, but it
was
was
more
like,
of an interrogation?
oh my gosh, it was long. I spent half a day. I was over at RWJ St. Barnabas for everything. That's where I went through, and it was long because I think I met with 3 different people that were
Okay.
members of the transplant team, from the surgeon to, gosh, I'm going to mess up what their titles were, but everyone asked the same questions. Oh, so I have 3 people and they all ask the same questions, and they just want to know that you're coming from a place of, they're looking for consistency, I can only imagine.
Yeah, well, yeah, that'd be like a good cop, bad cop thing, right?
Yeah, and just to make sure you're doing this for the right reasons, everybody asks you, are you getting compensated for this?
What was the most fucked up question you got asked? That you had to step back and go, why are you asking that?
They get a little bit into your history, I suppose. So I was, they want to know that you've never been diagnosed with depression or things like that.
Do they get into your like sexual history too and all
No,
Okay.
they don't get into that.
that? Do they ask you if you have ever had like a sexual transmitted disease? And all
They
that?
well, I mean, they're going through all that stuff.
Oh.
I mean, that's like just like you would on like a physical screening.
okay. Yeah.
So they go through all of those things. Like even when you're donating blood,
They ask
the
you that stuff, I
same
guess
the
so.
same
Yeah.
types of stuff. So so I mean, they're going through all of that, and I suppose I expect that kind of stuff for something like
Yeah.
this. So it's just you answer.
I was
you
always
answer.
curious. I was always curious if they got if you went through a psychological,
Yeah,
like
so
a therapist type.
It's not
thing,
like you're
you know?
sitting down, you're not going in laying down on a
A
couch
couch?
and they're like, they're going
Why are
through
you
that.
doing this?
Yeah. So, but they do ask your why. They
Of
certainly
course,
ask your
wouldn't
why.
You probably got asked that a lot.
Yeah. And listen, and I'm happy to answer it. It's just, of course, you have to understand the person that whoever's on the receiving end of that may need more explanation. It could lead to more questions depending on who it is. So, so if you just want to, why don't you just ask me what the type of things that came to your mind, I suppose, when you found out that I was doing something like this?
I guess the first thing that jumped into my mind was, that's cool.
Well,
There's got to be a reason, right? Other than, I know I just had a gut feeling that had nothing to do with compensation. I'm like,
Yeah.
she's not getting compensated for it. And I've known you a long time, and I'm like, it shocked me a little bit, but it didn't in a way.
Sure.
Like it shocked me right away, but after a breath, I went, cool. I need to know more about that. It wasn't like, she fucking crazy.
yeah.
You know?
Some people were. Don't
Oh,
worry.
yeah, I was going to say. Okay, so that being said,
Yeah.
is there anybody that in your circle, we'll say, quote unquote circles, react crazily different than you thought? Like say, your dad or your mom or your uncle or whoever,
Okay.
out of the blue, they just reacted, and you're like, man, I never thought he would react like that, or she. Was there anybody like that, and what was your reaction?
So funny enough, when I talked to both my parent, I talked to my parents separately. They're divorced, so they don't
Thank you.
have to do with one another really, except for me and my sister being the glue. But my parents took it better than I thought they would have, which I love my mom to death, but with stuff like this, she's a worrier, and she can get a little bit frantic, and she knows it.
Yeah.
And she responded actually very calmly to it, and I was like, oh.
Was she like, okay, so I
No.
guess you're going to do what you want to do? Or
No,
she's like,
she was more thoughtful than it's your life type of thing. My dad was more, well, I don't necessarily want you to do it, but it's your body, and I respect that. So you're going to do what you're going to
that's
do.
a good conversation.
And I think that he was still concerned, but over the months, his thought process changed about it, much closer to the surgery, and he thought, you know what? She could be dead, and I could be dealing with her donating her organs as a deceased donor. So this is a pretty positive thing. And that's how he framed it in his mind.
Okay.
I think my mom had spells of worry, if you will, but she was mostly okay with it. So they both surprised me in a good way. And
cool.
with everybody else, it was more, I have no idea how you're going to react anyway. So
Right.
this isn't a main topic of conversation for most people. It's
Well, that's why I was wondering.
it's not
how
in
they would-
anybody's faces. So
Right, that's where I was
Yeah.
thinking the different reaction would
Yeah.
come from, because that's something most people don't deal with. So the kind of colors would come out, I think.
Yeah. So how I approached the telling people was, I'm not going to go into telling people with any set of expectations on how I want them to act, how they should react, any of that. They're going to react however they're going to react. Most people are going to, whatever their reaction is, whether it's deemed positive or negative, it's coming from love no matter what, and a place of caring.
Right,
So
right.
even some of the people that were a little bit more explosive about it, if you will, I know it came from concern and care than them thinking I was really just a crazy maniac for doing this.
Yeah.
So I got that, and I just said, I'm not going to get into debates with people. What I'm going to do is tell them, explain my why, not really get into the weeds about it. However they react, just let them be with that.
That's on them.
Yeah, and time should lessen however they felt. And the truth is that's how it was for anybody. There were some people where what's funny is Artie had an aunt and an uncle that were, he got a call from his uncle that was like, what is she smoking?
Yeah.
And a couple other things were, you can't let her do this. You got to put your foot down, that type of thing.
Whoa, who would say,
Yeah.
oh, wow, we don't have to get into that.
No, we're not going to get into that. But
So
it was kind of like, just let them be with that.
Right.
And then weeks later, after the surgery and all that, they came around, and it was done at that point. So you can't, like, it's done.
Can't put it back.
Yeah. So
Well, so from the beginning, now you said, Artie, you text him or you called him?
I can't remember. I feel like I must have called him but I might have texted him.
Nowadays, it's probably a text.
Well, for me, it was kind of, I was in such a good place about it, and it felt so normal that I was just like, it might have just felt like, oh, this is the thing I'm doing.
And his first reaction was, you're fucking nuts.
Yeah. Like, what the heck are you thinking? And he was just concerned. I mean, he was just concerned for me more than anything else, because
Sure. Not,
it's major surgery. Who would willingly put themselves through major surgery for a person they don't even know? And I've never been through surgery before, so
you've never been under
this
the
was my
knife?
very first surgery, so it's a complete unknown. Like, I could have reacted to the anesthesia and never woken up, that type of thing. So there were unknowns for me, but there were lots of reasons not to do it, but there was one really, really good reason to do it, and for me that was enough, and that's all I needed.
Good.
So
Now, how's Artie feel about it now? Like, how's things after? And
he feels good. He better feel good about it now. But so listen, it took him a long time to warm up to it, longer than I actually realized, because I think he was feigning support because he felt like he had to for a bit. But I know that he wasn't in a really good place about it. But anyone that's had real, true concern about it, and I don't mean this in a way that any of these people are ignorant. It's not coming from that, but it's a lack of education. This isn't in our faces. We don't really know much about it. When you hear somebody's giving up a kidney, it's oh my God, that's a major organ. You're going to be relinquishing a major organ that's been in your body since you were created.
And you might need it 10 years from now.
Exactly.
Whereas if you get liver disease or kidney disease,
exactly. All valid questions. So to kind of put that one to bed, if you are a living donor and you eventually need a kidney in the future, you're top of the list.
I can only imagine.
Top of the list.
Yeah.
So that was enough for me.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
All right. So the myths that we debunked was the one that I really thought of too was, you get in an accident and they see that, hey, you're a donor.
Oh, this one's a donor.
My buddy said, I was drinking with my buddy the other night. And he said, if you ever come across a donor, let me know. That kind of crazy stuff. The process from you saying, yes, I'm going to do it, to you getting put under to take your kidney out, how long was that?
So, and this is really dictated by the donor. So
Why would it be
because it's real. It can go as quickly or as long as the donor needs it to go, because
like you could say you're going to give me a kidney.
Sure.
I could say, all right, let's do it tomorrow. Or I could say, is that what you're saying, to dictate how long it's going to go? Mm-hmm. Or I could say, give us 30 days.
Sure. So I'll explain to you kind of what I went through and what I know other people have gone through.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Like one woman I talked to, a few days before I donated, and I'm so glad I talked to this woman, because I was like, we are the same person. Like, this is, I needed to talk to somebody that had my same why, because I really hadn't spoken to many other living donors that were in a similar situation.
Other than financial, wouldn't.
Why would you do this?
Right, you'd be the same why you have.
Yeah.
Other than financially,
exactly.
I assume. I'm just making an assumption there.
But so for me, I decided to. I saw the GoFundMe page last April. I was going on vacation in May for 10 days. I went to California. And I was like, well, I'm not going to start this process before, I go. I'll start it when I come back. So I started, I think I can't remember if it was June or July that I went through the interview process. Might have been June. And then the physical stuff that I had to start doing, I started doing that very shortly after. So the types of things you have to do, it's oh my God, the amount of blood they took was ridiculous. They took 17 vials of blood. When she was picking out the vials, and I'm looking at the pile, I'm going, wait a second. That, like, is there another person you're also getting blood from? It was ridiculous. So, so that was fun. That you do a 24-hour urine analysis, which, oh my God, oh God, this was infuriating. This is the day I ended up crying. So what you have to end up doing is they give you a jug that for 24 hours you have to pee in.
The same jug.
Same jug. You
Just get a
cannot.
catheter.
Oh my God, I wish. I mean, the thing's huge though. It would have been, it's a lot. So they need to collect a day of urine. You can't miss a drop of pee because they're looking for numbers. What you end up doing is after the 24-hour urine analysis, within a day after the collection, you go in for another blood test, and they're looking for things to line up. So if you miss a pee, they'll know immediately by looking at the blood test and say you have to do it again. So let me just tell you what happened to me. So,
did you do it again?
Boy, did I.
Oh,
so,
good stories.
Oh, God. And the thing is think about when you're getting up early in the morning or the middle of the night to go pee. You're not thinking about, oh, I got to go get that jug in the fridge.
Yeah.
So, ridiculous.
Did you keep it in the fridge?
Had to.
Oh,
Where else was I going to keep it?
It's like right next to the milk or what?
Listen, I was making sure I was being very, very careful. I mean,
can see you already getting up in the middle of the night.
Oh
taking
yeah,
a drink.
I want a bowl of Cheerios. No, but so they gave me this jug. I did what I did. I put the jug in like a plastic bag. The next day I went to go get my blood test. I freaking take the jug out of the bag and there must have been a leak in the jug. So pee got all over the bottom of this freaking plastic bag. And I had to redo the whole thing. And with how kind of neurotic I had to be about the pee collection, because there were a few times where I almost forgot, and I'm not going to get graphic, but it was like I had to stay home from work that day. You know, you had to be really on top of it. Like I had to, make sure that if I was going to the toilet, I think I put like a Post-it note or something where I'd go, oh crap, I've got to go.
Like put it on the toilet seat?
Yeah. So just as like a reminder.
Right.
So it was just a strenuous day of just trying to remember to do this thing. And I was just stressed out at that time too, because my grandma was dying. So I was just emotional and all this stuff. And so that was a bad day. So they sent me a much sturdier jug after that. And I ended up doing it, and thank God the urine analysis went okay. If I had to do that again, I've known people that have had to do it like 3 or 4 times, and I can't even imagine. It's annoying.
So, I mean, do they say drink X amount of
No,
fluids or just be normal?
What you can't do is you can't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they want you working out like the day before and the day of that you're doing it.
You know, that's, I just had my blood work done. Mm-hmm. And the only thing in the red on my blood work is there's a chemical in my kidney.
Was it the creatinine?
I don't know.
Is that what they're looking for?
I don't know what it's called. And I said, "What? Why is that red?" And he says, "That's a chemical that tells me that you work out very strenuously."
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they don't want you doing it.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
That's
they don't want you
fun to
doing
know.
that. Yeah. So just so it doesn't throw anything off.
Yeah.
Like, are you just normally like that, or is it because you work out? So that's what they're looking for. So the other things that they do are X-rays. Oh God, what the heck is it called? An echo, maybe? Is it the thing where they
echocardiogram?
Is it
Echo
the EKG? Yeah, EKG, right?
Yeah, EKG.
So
Yep.
you do an EKG. And the CAT scan with contrast, which was super interesting. I'd never.
So you have to drink like that gross contrast,
No,
or they put it through the blood?
I think they inject. Yeah, they injected. And
IV?
yeah, that was the first time I ever experienced that, and I really took this whole situation, this whole experience from an approach of just curiosity,
Sure.
and just being really interested in the process.
Oh,
and so
I'm the same way.
Yeah, so I was just so curious, and it was interesting when I was getting this CAT scan with contrast, because you get that weird taste in your mouth. I don't know if you've ever gotten one.
Yeah.
It tastes
I got
like,
a great story about contrast.
Yeah, it tastes like you ate a bunch of what are those things called? Those not Sharpie markers, but they're those
Like a fluorescent marker?
No, they're still
dry erase.
No, they're still a permanent marker, but they're those ones I feel like they were more prevalent like in the 80s, where they were black and they had a shiny sticker on the
Oh,
outside.
yeah,
There
yeah,
was like
yeah.
the red, the silver, red, and blue.
Yep,
Whatever
yep.
that one was, it smelled like. It tasted like the smell
No,
of.
I remember the taste. I was just like,
Yeah. Yeah, it's like that's weird. I'm like, wow, that's interesting.
Yeah,
This tastes
yeah.
like crap. But and then the feeling of the heat from the inside,
that's really
where I
neat.
was like, oh my god, is this what a hot flash
like
feels
around,
like?
around your belly button and yeah.
That was you felt like you were being microwaved from the inside. So that was also interesting. But I was very glad that was over quickly. But I'm trying to think of when I got officially cleared. There was something I ended up having to redo, and it's escaping me now.
Other than the urine.
Yeah, I had to get a pap smear, and they, I had to have that redone. Which, all the women out there know, that is not
Crunch.
something you feel like having redone.
Crunch.
And it was the fault of the OB-GYN too. So I was really annoyed with that.
Yeah.
But it's like anytime I was like even mildly annoyed by this stuff, it was just like, listen, who gives a shit? Like this is for the greater good.
Yeah.
There like at no time through this process was I like, this is so annoying, I'd want to stop it. It was just
cool. That's a cool.
Yeah, it was what it was. It just was like, okay, fine. You wanted it over just because you wanted the answer. Well, for me anyway, I wanted the answer that, okay, this is going to be a match.
So that's a question I had as well. Is you had to do all that just to find out if you're a match or not?
So let me back up. Not to find out if I was a match, to find out if I was cleared. They can find out if you're a match quite quickly. So
Okay.
they're looking at your blood type, and then they're looking at, don't ask me what it is, but this line of code, I guess, in your DNA that lines up with the recipients. And
I'd assume that'd have to match pretty well.
well, so what's funny is it doesn't necessarily have to match directly, but whether it does or it doesn't depends on the amount of drugs the person has to be on. So, because they've got to be on the immunosuppressant. So as long as our code matched up, but she was going to be more likely to receive the kidney well and
Right,
have it
right.
work out for the best. But if, there are certain situations where that's not the case, so they're just on kind of more medication, more.
And then you had to be a certain match, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
it had to go like 60, 80, 90%. Where did you fall in on that?
Oh, I have no idea. I mean, I'm pretty sure I was like 100%.
No, you don't have to be 100%
Yeah,
match.
whatever I was, we were the same blood type, and our genetic code, that part of the code matched up.
So you're good.
Yeah, so she was good.
So
there was no
before
question. Mm-hmm.
any of this ever happened, did you go and obviously you go meet her and
So I
talk
didn't.
and,
No.
Whoa,
No.
really?
No. So I met with her partner last summer, just to kind of get a feel for like who this person was, and I felt good about. After meeting her, I just felt good about
So you met
continuing
her-
to move forward.
You
Yeah.
met her partner. You didn't meet her.
No, I didn't meet her, and
Is there
I
a
was.
reason why?
For me, I didn't want to let her down. I didn't want to be. I know she'd been on a list for 7 years.
Oh, and here
She'd
you come
already-
along and be like, I'll do this, and then it's not a match. And
Yeah.
Then okay. All right.
And I didn't want, like, every time I went through some part of this process, there was a fear in me that they were going to say, oh, we found something and you can't. And it wasn't even for, like, the way I saw it was whether this works out or not for me. Like, if I can donate, that means I was healthy enough to donate. But if they find something along the way, then thank God I went through this process, right?
You can deal with it.
Well,
right?
yeah. So, but I really just didn't want to let her down. Even 2 weeks before the surgery, I finally met her 2 weeks before the surgery.
Okay.
And I was less emotional than I thought. I really didn't get emotional until I was in the what is it called? The nightgown that they give you there.
Your butt crack was hanging out.
Oh,
so you
oh
could-
yeah. Oh yeah. Those fancy little socks they give you.
Oh, hey, I got a pair of those. I
And-
wear them around here. They stop you
Hey
from
man,
slipping.
I know. And they gave me this God, what is it? Like a shower cap looking thing, but it looked like a Jiffy Pop. It was like this big silver that it was really attractive. I'm sure I have a picture somewhere. But it really didn't. It's not that it didn't hit me, but it was just up until that moment. It was like, now this is a
real.
real thing,
Right.
And
Now, did they wheel you in like together, like you see in the movies, or?
no, but I was next to her in the we were in adjacent rooms while we were getting ready for everything. So the morning of the surgery, I did see her. We got to it was very sweet. They got to the hospital at the same time as me, just to see me before I went in, and we were in adjacent rooms, prepping. And they were like so sweet. They, her partner said, because they wheeled me past her room, and when I got so excited when I saw, because I was being wheeled in. I'll probably get emotional, but and I just see her and I waved like this, and I was just so happy for her.
Lesson learned. I got
I'm being brought tissues for all of those wondering why there is silence. I appreciate it. So, so that was like the moment where I was like, I'm just happy. Like this is it. And I know for her, there's, having been through this process a few times of people trying for her, I know that she probably had that, that feeling of being cautiously optimistic, right?
Sure.
Like, when will this start to feel real? So that was, that was a good moment for me, where I was like, all right, like this is where it's happening. So, but yeah, it was pretty crazy. The surgery wasn't long at all. It was,
they normally do it in a back alley.
zing, wake up in a tub full of ice.
You got a scar, and you're like, well, how come I have
What
a
is
scar right here?
this? What is this? But when they're explaining the process to you, and I think that they do intend to scare you a little bit to see, like, oh, do you still want to do this? This was in the original interview. They say, hey, during surgery, there might be a reason why they can't do it laparoscopically, and they might need to go in through a shark bite incision. Are you going to be okay with that? And I was like, yeah. So shark bite incisions, effectively, I mean, it's you could look it up on the internet what that is. I mean, it looks like a shark bite, and it would be your whole side.
Now they call it a shark bite because when they cut it open, they zigzag and
No,
make it like teeth marks,
just,
or
no, it's not that. It's just like kind of that I don't know, that like half oval shape, if you will.
Okay.
So they say that's a possibility. So I think at that point in time, after all of the screenings I went through, there was nothing that led them to believe that they weren't going to be.
So in my
doing,
bikini, you're going to see a scar.
Yeah. Well, you're still gonna see it, and it's fine. But it's smaller than I thought. I remember waking up thinking like, oh my God, I don't want to look down. But then I looked down. I go, oh my God, that's smaller than they said it was going to be. It's only 2 inches. My main incision's 2 inches. I have
How
3
do you
other.
get a kidney out of that?
I know. I have a picture of it.
Yeah.
Obviously,
you're gonna have to give me that so I can put it on the show
I'll
notes.
I'll definitely show you. I was like, can you please take a picture? And they were like, we don't normally do that. I was like, this is my only time.
We think I'm going to give my other kidney
Yeah,
away?
I was like, this is my only shot, man. Take a picture. So so they sent me a picture of the kidney. And it's funny because the recipient and her partner, they lovingly call it Baby Ashley. So I'll get updates from him that say, "Oh, Baby Ashley's doing well." So cool. So the cool thing about all of this is, there's lots of cool things, right? But the really cool thing that just makes you go, my God, medical science is just a miracle. I am blown away. I was told, and I still vividly remember this, even though I was in the recovery area, which was miserable. But, I threw up. It was awful. But which with stomach incisions was the worst. Mm-hmm. But they said the second they put my kidney in, they hooked everything up, started producing urine. which is
Holy cow.
awesome. Which is awesome. And if you get if somebody gets a deceased kidney, it's it sometimes needs time to wake up.
Right,
So
right.
somebody that gets a deceased kidney that doesn't wake up immediately might even need to go on dialysis for 1 or 2 more times.
To get it
Yeah,
pumping through?
yeah, and mine just worked instantly, and that just made me so happy.
Oh, that is
that
so
just
cool,
made me
so
so
cool.
happy.
Now, when was the surgery? How long
March
ago?
6th, Ash Wednesday.
Whoa.
Yeah. Oh, so this leads me back to that first thing that I was saying was, this is so funny. So I didn't even realize it was Ash Wednesday, and later in the afternoon, when Artie was with me, in my I finally got put in my room. I was like, wait a second. And he had his, he went to the chapel or whatever, and he got his ashes. And I was like, it's Ash Wednesday. I was like, what am I going to give up for Lent? And he was like,
How about a kidney?
he was like, he just goes, I think you're good.
Yeah.
And I was like, but that's cheating, because Lent means something that that's difficult to get up, and you're eventually are going to get it back or whatever. So I gave up drinking for the 40 days, but I could have. I could have drank that weekend. I wouldn't have done that, not being on medication, but yeah.
So
I
now
just
you
gave it up.
have no restrictions. You're 100%.
At this point, yeah, it was 4 weeks. They wanted you to not lift anything over 10 pounds. I had to be really smart.
Because your incisions would get.
Yeah, I mean,
up on
oh
that.
my God. I was basically in bed for 2.5 weeks, and I mean, I shouldn't say that. I wasn't in bed for 2.5 weeks. I could actually move around quite well. Shockingly well. I thought stairs were going to be an issue. Stairs weren't an issue at all. Sitting up from a laying down position sucked. Laughing sucked, sneezing sucked, coughing sucked. All of those things sucked.
Kind of like having hernia. in a
Yeah,
way.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And that's the thing you're trying not to cause with doing all of those things. It's like, oh my God, the last thing I want to do.
So
And
where's
that
your
does happen to people.
incisions?
So I
Geographically on you.
I've got a 2-inch incision that is kind of just above my hip bone.
Okay.
Just right above there. What's funny is it runs right along with a crease that's already on my stomach. So it was cool.
Yeah, hide it.
Whatever. Not that that I really care, because scars are cool and they tell a story and conversation piece, if you will.
I always say chicks dig scars.
There you go. Yeah. See? So and then the I have one kind of just underneath my ribs, one maybe at 2 o'clock from my belly button, and then one way that's kind of way on the side. But that one I can barely even see anymore. That one that's on the side, and all of them are a little purpley colored still right now. But people I know that are a year out are I can barely even see my scars anymore.
Ah, cool.
So they go away quite quickly.
And then how's the recipient doing?
She's doing well. I know she had a little bout of something a couple weeks ago, but I think they may have done something with her medication. I know she's already off one of her meds, so it seems like everything's going well. It's been
Dialysis?
No dialysis. No. It's right after surgery. No more.
Just that quick.
It's that quick.
Now, does she have just your kidney?
She has 3 kidneys in her right now.
Whoa. So will they take the other ones out?
Eventually. That's
'Cause
the plan.
Wouldn't there be a possibility? Is there a possibility they would infect the new kidney? Probably
So,
not. I mean, obviously they know what they're doing. But
I don't think so. And I know I've gotten that question before, and I don't know with PKD. I really don't know.
Could you imagine?
Oh my God. Yeah, I know. That would just suck. But I mean, it took 30 years for it to manifest anyway in her. So I'd imagine, I don't know. I'd have to do
30 years that she's probably.
Yeah. So hopefully not, but they'll eventually remove the diseased kidneys. I think that they obviously wouldn't do anything so quickly. I mean, her body's been through a lot of trauma.
Right. So I assume the plan would be, if you know or not, that, like you just said, they're going to remove probably both
Eventually.
the diseased ones and just have yours, right? Mm-hmm. Because,
Yeah.
That's
so
cool.
in her, I know hers are large, because even her partner said yeah, you can see that they're there. You can see, I don't know if it's bulged in the front or the back, but because the kidneys are in the back, but hers are so big, I don't think it matters.
Now, was there pain? Do you know if she talked to you about that? Is there pain with that? With a
With
big
the
kidney?
PKD, I don't know. I can't imagine that feels good.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
All of your other organs are kind of mushed to other places, to make room. I just know she had no quality of life just with the dialysis alone. I mean, it
Well,
was,
the first thing that came to my mind was her quality of life
Yeah.
skyrocket, just not having to go to dialysis 3-4
No.
times a week.
kidding. I mean, she's in a place now where, so it's a 3-month recovery for her where she can't be around people because she's on the immunosuppressants.
Yeah.
But that's like, it's not a walk in the park to say the least at all. I mean, she did still, for the first 8 weeks, she had to go to the doctor twice a week. And then for the remaining 4 weeks, it's once a week, as far as I know. And I think she's on that track. But so it's still, and there's other things that she had to deal, that you kind of have to deal with. Like she had to go back in and get a stent taken out because there's other things that they do beyond just, we're hooking it up.
Yeah.
There's like a drainage tube and things like that because there's fluid that builds up around the kidney that they have to make sure does drain and all of those things. So I do think that there's some pretty massive discomfort with that. But I think the worst part of it was just the hospital. So the worst part of the surgery in the hospital for me was actually the CO2 that they pump into you for the laparoscopic surgery. I don't know if you've ever had that.
No.
So it's this once
What's
again
it, like balloon
very
your-
interesting. Yeah. So laparoscopic. So the 4 incisions that I have, one was for the camera, one was to blow you up with some air, and the other one was for the tools, and then the last one, the 2-inch one, was when they ended up taking it out. But so they, in order to do this, so they have room to work around, they blow you up with carbon dioxide.
Well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Oh, this is so cool. So they blow you up with carbon dioxide. I believe they try to get as much as they possibly can once they're ready to sew you up, but there's still some that gets trapped in your body cavity. And this isn't gas like you're used to having. When we have gas, it's going through our digestive system.
Right.
This is just gas that's in your body. So you feel things sloshing around because now there's room for them to move. It's very odd. But what sucks about it is the pain. So when you're laying down, you're fine. You look bloated, look maybe a little pregnant, but when you sit up, get the CO carbon dioxide, it rises. So it pushes up on your diaphragm. So your lungs can't expand, so you can't get a full breath. And then you end up having referred pain to your shoulders because of nerve endings that are located wherever they're located. So when you sit up, the shoulder pain it's
No shit.
crippling. It was crippling for me anyway. That was the worst part of the whole thing.
They just didn't want to pump you with drugs to get rid of the pain, or
so you do. They do. I mean, that's when I was on the Dilaudid. That was absolutely ridiculous. But the Dilaudid was really going to help with the pain from the surgery and the incision sites and all of those things. That wasn't going to help with that. So I had a heating pad on my shoulders for that.
Right.
But the cool part about this is the coolest part about the whole thing. This is so cool. So you want to know how you get rid of it? I will tell you how, my friend. So you walk around. They want you walking around as much as possible because it ends up breaking up.
Now, are you still in hospital at this time?
I was in the hospital for 3 nights.
Okay.
So they want you walking around. They want you moving around. And what you end up doing with the carbon dioxide is it ends up getting absorbed into your blood, and then you breathe it out, which I just think is the coolest thing.
How cool is that?
Yeah, super cool. So
that's what we do every second.
Well, yeah.
Is blow out carbon dioxide, right?
So cool. Wow. So that was a really, again, I'm just coming from a very interested place in all of this. So that was interesting. But then I would say the worst of the pain was probably in the first 2 days, and it subsides with each passing hour, to be honest. But the first time I tried sitting up, I was like, it felt like I was being suffocated because
not because of the carbon monoxide, not because you're missing a kidney.
Dioxide. Thank God it wasn't monoxide.
Sorry. Seeing if you were paying attention.
Yeah, there we go.
But the pain was from that, not from the kidney part.
Yeah, it was not from what's fun. Well, so I had a tap block or something they call it. So I had if I even tried to touch my skin, I couldn't really feel. They really kind of deadened the nerve endings around there. Yep. So I couldn't really feel anything locally. I really didn't feel much unless I was sneezing or something like that. That was really the only time I felt anything. Just sitting here, I wasn't like, ugh, this hurts.
Right. And so now you were there 3. So how long were you under the gas? Anesthesia.
So the surgery was like
Surgery
an hour
took
and a
her-
half.
What?
It was so quick.
No wonder they can do that in an alleyway, huh?
Yeah, no shit, right?
They just what's that where they put the rag over you and say
Oh, a chloroform.
Chloroform?
Yeah, that
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
pretty sure that's what they did.
yeah.
I'm pretty
just
sure.
They like
Yeah.
cut you open.
Yep.
So what they do? Squeeze it out of just a small.
So I think when your skin is much more pliable
Of
that
course,
I
yeah.
think we realize.
Yeah.
So even though it's only a 2-inch incision, I think it was probably a lot bigger when they had all the clamps and stuff holding it open. I don't think
That
they were
is so
squeezing it
cool.
out like a tube of toothpaste or anything.
So then they take that, probably clean it up somehow, do whatever they do,
I don't
and
know
then
if
they
they clean it. I don't know.
and then like she's prepped in the next room,
Yeah.
and they just move it over there and put it in and sew it in and
Yeah.
And now, how long was she under? Does it take longer to put it in than take it out?
So her surgery is longer usually. Hers might have been around 3-ish hours.
Okay.
From what granted, I was hopped up on all kinds of meds
Yeah.
at that time, but I'm trying to think if I remember really, because I mean coming out of anesthesia was probably the worst part in terms of fogginess for me. So I want to say it was like 10 something when I remember waking up for the first time, and I remember thinking like, oh wow, it's like 10 whatever. I was wheeled back at like 8:30, and then Artie and my mom came back to the recovery area. It was like afternoon or after like around 1 something. I'm not sure. And I think it was then that they said that the surgery went well. Something like that. I can't quite remember the timeline of
You guys
things,
went in
but-
first thing in the morning.
Oh yeah, I was at St. Barnabas at like 5:45 or something like that.
And you didn't have
5:15.
to do anything prep prior. They're like, just
No.
live your normal life. And
They don't eat anything after midnight. Like some people I know, they were like, "Oh, I had to take laxatives the
Right,
day
right.
before, and I didn't have to do."
Well,
It was very minimal. What's crazy? It was like what I went through was fairly minimal.
yeah, but I think that has to say a lot about how healthy you are to begin with.
How healthy, and I think how incredible St. Barnabas is. I mean, they're one
Modern
of the
technology.
Yeah,
and
they're one of the
science
top
and-
3 in the country, if not the number 1 in the country for a kidney transplant surgery. And if I was going to get this done anywhere, thank God
God.
I got it done there. It was the team was wonderful, and everybody was pretty. Well, the surgeon I had, which I loved, he was pretty nonchalant about the whole thing. And for me, I was like,
He's like, oh, I'm just doing my taxes.
Yeah.
No big deal.
Well,
Here
no
we go.
kidding.
Just like, do.
it was like he might as well have been checking me out at ShopRite, and he's performing. This was just his job, and I kind of liked that he was so lax about it, because it was like,
Well, if he's stressed, you're going to be stressed,
Yeah.
and there's no reason for
yeah,
that.
exactly. So it was good.
So overall, she's good.
She's
As
good.
you know. When's the
Yep.
last time you talked to her?
I think we texted like end of last week or middle of last week or something like that. It's like
Okay.
we try to be in touch,
Sure.
like on a weekly-ish basis.
And then I know you guys are very active. You're a runner and all that. So
Yeah.
how's that affecting you at this point?
So I think just getting back into things. I'm certainly not going to start sprinting, but I start my half marathon training next Tuesday. So I'm running a half marathon in September, and
Where?
in the Smoky Mountains, actually.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So there's this really awesome
it's
running
flat.
series. Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, to be honest, it's really actually not that bad in terms of elevation changes, though, because I know it is unfortunately uphill, which I'm not a distance runner anyway, but like my first half marathon was last May, and that was 5 miles of downhill, which was nice.
Yeah.
Killed my knees, but this one I think it's only like 700 feet of elevation.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, it on the uphill. So, oh geez, hold on, gotta wipe my nose again.
What made
but-
you want to do this half marathon?
So
I know
what,
you always been in running and all that, but
here's what I've concluded about myself. It's
conclusion.
I am not good at just maintaining. I need something to shoot for to stay healthy. So I was an athlete. So I danced my whole life. And
Tap dance, right?
Yeah, I teach tap dance now.
Still doing that?
Yeah, yeah. Recital is tomorrow.
What?
So yeah.
Where do you teach?
Take Flight Dance Center in Warren.
Okay.
So small school, and the kids are the best. They have so much heart.
What age range of kids?
So I have little teeny ones. So they're like 4 and 5.
Oh,
and
how cute is that?
Yeah, it's cute. It's cute.
It's loud.
Tell you what, they keep you humble. I
I used to teach martial arts in Tiny Tigers class.
Oh, how old's that?
6 and 8.
Yeah, they're honest. Children are honest. I don't have any myself, but man, they keep you on the straight and narrow. What's like one of the? Were you ever told something by one of those kids where it was just like, ugh? Like,
yeah, well,
where they told you a truth about yourself and you're like,
oh, it was great because I came in one time or I was there and
Yeah.
they came in and, it's sensei. Right?
sure,
Right.
which is pretty cool.
Right. And he's like, you got fat. Oh. I was like, I can't deny it. I did.
God.
But there was no malice behind it. He just pointed out. He's like, that's a red car. You got fat.
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
it. There was no. Yeah,
I
it was
know,
so
and
fun.
it's. And
How about
you're
you? Any good stories on that one?
It's like on a weekly basis. So I cut my hair. Obviously, you know that. But I used to have hair down to my elbows, and then I cut it really, really short. So the story behind that was my grandmother. She passed away in September. So she's passed away September 6th. So my surgery was actually exactly 6 months to the day after she passed. So that was nice. But the week before she passed away, it was a Saturday, and I came up to be with her for a few days, and she was still like up and about. So, and I'm convinced she was waiting for her hair to be dyed to die. I'm not kidding. She was like the type of woman. Yeah, she's the type of woman. Her hair. She was a brunette her whole life. She dyed her hair herself her whole life, and kind of towards the end, her hair was, she didn't have the ability to do it herself anymore.
How old was she?
87. And so I helped her dye her. It was kind of a bit of a struggle, but we did it. I dyed her hair, and she was just so cute when she was when it was dyed, and now she could see. She's holding up a mirror, and it had dried, and she's like, "Oh, I gotta shape it. She had very, very short hair, and the Saturday, the last time I saw her in person, her and I were sitting on the bed next to each other, and she said, "You got to cut your hair." And I said, "Well, I cut it a couple years ago. Remember when I cut it to my shoulder?" And she goes, No. And she's, kind of mimicking her hair. And she goes, "You got to cut it short like me." And I said, "Okay." So I had to leave 2018 with I cut my hair for
Looks
grandma.
great.
Thank you.
Yeah, looks
Yeah,
great.
I actually kind of like it. Man, my hair rinses in like 2 seconds. It's wonderful. So now I know
It takes forever for my hair to
Yeah,
dye.
I bet it does.
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh, where's
It's
the
just-
styling,
I know
right?
it.
Yeah.
So on that, the other thing I was going to ask you about was
Oh, wait, I didn't say what the kids said about me. So
Oh,
basically, I
yeah.
walked in with short hair, and the girls were like, "You look like a boy." And I was like, that was like,
did you fist bump them? Be like,
yeah, that was the tangent that I just went on.
you had to tell that story.
Yeah,
so you could,
the
that story
reasoning
would
for
make
my
sense.
short hair. Yeah.
So, what was it? Your half marathon.
Oh, yeah.
So why are you doing that? Just
I-
to
I-
maintain.
Well, I need something to shoot for. If I don't have this like end goal, it's harder for me to just logically, you just need to be a healthy person. That hasn't been enough to get my butt in the gym.
Yeah.
So for me, it's been, all right, like I need this race to look forward to help me condition. So I think I'm always just going to have something out there hanging for me. So, something on the calendar
okay,
for
so
me
I'm going
to
to do this. So I don't eat that pint Ben and Jerry's ice cream.
I mean, I'll still eat the ice cream, but I'll go to the gym.
My kind of woman.
I
love me some Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah, I went to Ben and Jerry's with Artie up in Vermont in August.
Yeah, my parents live up there, so we go up there all the time.
Cabot cheese.
It's amazing.
I could just tear right into a hunk of their seriously sharp. Yeah, I suppose there's no product placement here, so do we have to?
No, there's not yet. I'm hoping someday,
Yes,
but
brought to you by Cabot Cheese.
no, you can't say Cabot cheese because we're brought to you by Kraft.
Oh God.
I guess
cheese.
so like Val would say, my wife Val, she
Yeah.
would say, that's cheese substance. That's
Yes,
not
that's
cheese.
yes, that's not real.
So
the
we're-
Velveeta cheese product. Yes.
Cheese product. When I wanted to drop that on, when are you going to get married?
Oh, I have no idea. I'm not like.
What?
I mean, of course, we're talking about it, but
ya?
yeah. But I
Okay,
mean,
well, that's a talk.
I'm divorced, so I'm not like. It's not like, oh my God, we gotta like hurry up and get into this. It's just like, listen, I would have. It's
How long
it's
were you married before?
3.5 years. December was 5 years divorced at that point. So
And then you were married for 3.5?
So I got married in. I got married in 2011, 2010. Oh God, I don't even know. 2010. I don't even remember.
That was that impactful, huh? That you-
Yeah, clearly. No, but listen, it was a time filled with lessons. I learned a lot about myself
Yeah.
during that time. It was, I went through pretty much like a paradigm shift, like huge, massive shift in my life at that time. So, and I think back, there's a bajillion things I would have done differently, but I couldn't have learned the lessons that I learned had I not gone through the process.
Right,
So
right.
I have no regrets, just knowing that I know that I couldn't have learned the lessons any other way. And, my philosophy is things happen the way they happen because that's how they happened.
Yep,
And
no,
that they
I
couldn't have
love
happened
it.
any other way.
Nope, you can't
That's
change it. And,
Yeah.
Yep. And then that was out here in Jersey?
Yeah.
You always been in Jersey?
No, I'm from Massachusetts. Don't hold it against me. No, I love Massachusetts,
I
but
don't have an accent.
but no, because I grew up 2 hours away from Boston. No, most people think I'm
2 hours
yeah.
away.
So yeah, literally nowhere near Boston. But I'm from Western Massachusetts, so right along the Connecticut River.
Oh, okay.
10 minutes north of Springfield, little town called Holyoke, Massachusetts. Paper city, capital of the world at one point.
Paper City.
Yeah, it was like they
paper
were.
mill?
Yep, paper mills. I believe Holyoke was the first ever planned city in the country, meaning it was planned specifically during the Industrial Revolution for factories. They said,
The way they grid it out. They're like,
Yeah.
okay, this factory is going to be here. This factory is going
yeah.
to be
So they made a dam, and they built this dam on the Connecticut River, and obviously that was powering all of the mills to make the paper and all that good stuff. So, birthplace of volleyball as well.
Wow.
Random fact.
here. Random fact.
And my college was the
Somebody's-
birthplace of basketball. So,
Somebody said, let's blow up a ball and hit it over this net.
and the rest is history.
History.
I mean,
Dun,
hey, it's
dun,
pretty
dun.
well. It's pretty cool when you're watching the Olympics or something, and you're like, wow, this is a sport that started in my hometown, and people are playing it all over the world.
Yep.
So it's pretty cool.
When did you move out of your hometown?
Right after college, I moved in with my ex-husband, but he was just my boyfriend at the time. Moved out to Norton, Massachusetts for a year, and then we moved here. I'll have been in New Jersey 10 years this September.
So, could you be classified as a Jersey girl at 10 years?
I mean, at this point, I think I am. Listen, New Jersey gets a bad rap. I
They
came
do,
here
they do.
kicking and screaming. I don't know. Are you from New Jersey originally?
No, I'm from upstate New York.
I feel like we've been over this, yeah. But I'm sure you came here and you were like, oh, New Jersey, the armpit of America. I mean, that's what I thought, at least, just because of the way people talk about it.
Well, I've since learned that I believe the reason people think that is because when they travel through Jersey,
Exactly.
that's all they see on the turnpike.
Blech.
Yeah, they don't see look at outside this is beautiful.
Yeah.
It's
Oh,
amazing.
yeah.
We
Yeah,
love it
you,
here.
you
We love
fly
it
into
here.
Newark, you see Port of Elizabeth, and you go, wow, this is disgusting.
So here's a random fact. You know the big mall over by MetLife Stadium that they've been building for 20 years.
So what the heck is it called? Something America, something, whatever.
I can't even remember what it's called. But
Yeah.
do you notice on the one side when you're traveling east, like heading into New York, on
Mm-hmm.
the one side it's all these like multiple color panels?
Yeah. Oh, do you know what that is?
Okay, you tell me what You told, and I'll tell you.
Oh wait, it was like a wasn't it like a ski? It's supposed to be like an indoor ski.
Oh, I know what
ramp
it is,
thing?
but do you know why it's all those multiple colors?
Oh no.
So the guy that they hired
Yeah.
to design it, quote
Okay.
unquote, design it, was from like Italy or something.
Okay.
Right? So he flies into Newark and sees the docks with all the
Oh.
damn
Okay.
containers,
The container ships.
and that's
stuff.
where he got the
The
idea to
and they're like all that like orange and yellow,
orange
like
and
red.
weird colors,
Yeah.
right? And
Interesting.
They're the size of containers, right? So it looks
Oh,
like
are
the thing,
they?
It looks
I'm
like
gonna have to be a little bit more
See?
perceptive the next time I'm on the train.
Somebody told me that, and I was like,
How random.
how very random, and how many
Who knows,
talented
well,
people
yeah.
live here in Jersey could have designed that differently.
Oh yeah, and who
And so-
knows where people get inspiration from? Like
Right.
Port of Elizabeth inspired me. No one's ever said that before.
Said no one
Literally
ever.
ever. Yeah, but I just think New Jersey is very indicative of the country as a whole, with like the exception of Arizona and the desert, the deserts in this country. But there are beaches, there are mountains, there's farmland. I mean, we're called the Garden State for a reason, and it's just so absolutely beautiful here. If you're driving on the western part of the state at all, I mean, I think there's something like 38 wineries. And now there's like a ton of people that are starting to build breweries and things like that.
Yeah.
But the wineries are spectacular. And
Well,
I'm a big
then
hiker
this-
and camper, so it's ripe for that here.
And then the other thing too is you're half an hour from the city.
Exactly.
And then you get anything you want there, right? And then you have Newark.
Yeah.
You can fly anywhere in the world out of
Yeah,
Newark.
yeah.
Right?
It's
I mean,
such an accessible place, and people give it a bad rap, and it's so expensive, and yeah,
it is expensive.
It is, but you know what? It's all relative.
Relative,
I
absolutely.
dare I say I've never heard anybody living anywhere that said this place is really affordable. It's like everybody's got their thing. So
well, it's like all the stuff I saw on social media the last couple of days because it's been raining, right? It's a fucking gorgeous day today. But all the stuff where everybody's like, oh man, when's spring going to come? Damn, dude, you know why we appreciate the sun today? Is because you didn't have it for the last 4 days.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, what I say, how I come up with that is I lived in Colorado for like 18 years. The best kept secret of Colorado Springs is the weather.
Why?
It looks like this
Oh.
over 300 days a year.
But are people
So now,
walking around clicking their heels because it's a nice day out,
no,
though?
they
Yeah.
still bitch about something.
Yeah, sure.
Right? So, but the thing is, though, I love the East Coast because of the four seasons.
Thank you. That's exactly
Yeah.
why I like
Yeah,
it here
yeah.
too.
I like the four seasons.
I mean, as much as I love traveling and I love
We love traveling
yeah.
and going on adventures, and I know you and Artie are just always on
well,
the run.
what's next on your list this year?
Nothing this year
in the
because
foreseeable future, I should say.
okay, so the foreseeable future is fly to Miami.
Okay. Have you ever been?
Never been to Miami.
Miami's.
Yeah.
That-
So
talk about volatile weather. Bring an umbrella. Like bring something. It'll be a torrential downpour and then sunny within 20 minutes. So
Yep,
be
yep.
prepared.
rent a motorcycle. Ride to Key West for a
Okay.
couple days.
Nice.
Come back, play poker in Miami for a day, and then fly home.
Yeah, you're a big poker guy, aren't you?
I love
yeah.
playing poker.
Yeah. Any aspirations to be on like the like
Nah, I
like
give a shit.
compete?
Well, yeah, you compete every time you
Sure.
play, right?
Yeah. Well, there was
But-
that guy from New Jersey that won the World Series of Poker last year.
Yeah, big. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, he's
but
young too. Yeah.
I tried it one time. Mm-hmm. I kept my job. I was playing a lot of cards, but I kept my job, and I said, I'm going to act like this is all I do for a living,
Okay.
right? It fucking sucked.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
a grind. I
yeah.
love playing because I don't get to play all the time. If I turned it into a job, I don't think I would like it as much as I
Sure.
do, right? But so that being said, our last adventure, my wife's parents live in California.
That's right. That's where she's from originally, right?
Yep. And they're divorced. So one lives in San Francisco, her dad, and her mom and her sister and stuff live basically San Diego, a little away from there.
I've never been to San Diego.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
So we tend to go out every year. And our plan is we fly into San Francisco. we take some kind of vehicle transportation
Yep.
down the coastal highway.
Yep. PCH. Yep.
Yep. Visit with her rest of her family
Mm-hmm.
and then fly out of San Diego. Mm-hmm. So we did this last time. Mm-hmm. And
Did you go before the road collapsed? There was an
After.
You went after?
After.
So you had to go around
this
that?
is no. This is I'm glad you asked that because I have that's part of the story.
Oh.
Yeah. So we fly into the idea was we're going to fly into San Francisco,
Mm-hmm.
and wherever we go, I try to find a casino and a card
Mm-hmm.
room and play a little bit, collect a chip. I got a little bucket over there with all my chips in it.
Mm-hmm.
So we see her dad, and we rented a motorcycle, but to go down PCH. But before we
How much
did,
stuff did you guys have with you? That's always
actually-
my question.
well, see, we have some friends just outside LA.
Okay.
And then we were going to stop, see them, and go on this big dinner date thing and all that. And then obviously San Diego. So we shipped nice clothes to.
Oh, how funny.
yeah.
That's hilarious.
We shipped nice clothes to LA. And then we shipped clothes to San Diego,
That's
to her
so
mom's house.
funny.
Right. So we basically.
Genius.
Yeah, right?
Dare I
we
say.
basically. We had a small carry-on because we had to keep it minimum for the bike.
Sure.
We stop, have dinner with her dad and stuff, and then in San Bruno, there's this card house called Artichoke Joe's.
Okay. I like the name.
Yeah, and she's like, it used to be this like little tiny card room, and I go, well, we're walking around, let's go see it. We walk in, or we walk around, and it's like this little mini casino. It's built up and strictly card room, no slot machines, or
Okay.
anything like that. So I'm like, well, I have to.
That's the
I have
kind of
to-
stuff I like.
Yeah, I was
Just
like,
pull a lever.
yeah, dude, click, 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 right?
Yeah.
And I said, I just want to go check it out. So I looked,
Yeah.
and we didn't have time, but I was like,
Sure.
man, I got to come sit at a table.
Yeah.
So the next night, I come sit down, and this guy next to me on my right-hand side, obviously it's two guys, one on each side of me. They ended up in a fist fight in front of me because one of them wasn't acting fast enough. Do you know what that means in cards?
No.
So like it's his turn to
I was
bet.
like, they legitimately were punching each other.
Yep, yeah.
Oh.
No, literally.
Oh, okay.
Literally.
Oh, I thought this was like a
No.
term.
No. So
I don't know anything about
his
poker.
turn,
Just so we're clear.
So it's his turn to act, right?
Okay.
Which means he's got to fold, bet,
Okay.
raise, whatever he's going to do. And he sits there and takes his time looking at it, and that's very, very common playing cards. You got to, okay, where can I lose? How can I win? You
Sure,
take a
sure.
minute, you take a second,
Yeah.
evaluate your situation. So the guy, and I'm not even thinking none of it. I'm like, this is normal, right?
Yeah.
So the guy on my left side, clock, hurry up, clock, hurry up.
Oh
like,
my God.
constantly, right? So, and Filipinos, and they're
Yeah.
so they're speaking in a different language, and
And you don't know what's happening.
I'm like, but I could tell by the tone, right? And I was
Sure.
like in the body language, obviously, and just all of a sudden, out of the blue, the guy stands up, says something on my right. The guy on the left stands up, punches him square in the chin.
Oh, good.
The guy reaches over. The guy didn't even move. The guy hit in the chin. Reaches over, grabs the guy by the shirt.
Yeah.
Starts punching like right in front, like
Oh my
standing right
God.
in front of me. And I'm like, "What? This is amazing!
Oh my God.
Yay!"
Oh my God.
And,
And were those the two only other people playing at
No,
the
the
table?
table was
Okay,
full.
it was
There's
full.
10 of
Okay.
us. Yeah.
Jeez.
So obviously they got
Was this the first time you witnessed something like this in person?
no,
Okay. This is just par for the course.
yeah. Well, no, it's not common. It's not common.
Okay.
And so they get taken out.
Sure.
Right. So this guy comes and sits next to me, open seat, right?
Mm-hmm.
Another guy comes in. We play hand and I win, and I was like, "Whoa, man, that was kind of a fun hand," because
Mm-hmm.
it got my blood pumping a little bit, which it should. That's why I enjoy
Yeah,
playing.
yeah.
I'm like, "Oh, that was exciting."
Yeah.
He goes, "For you," and I was like, "Okay, I could get that. You might be pissed that I won. I didn't win any of his money." But I was
Yeah.
like, all right. One thing that I truly enjoy going to play cards in like different countries and states is meeting people. I love just
Sure.
like you and I sitting here talking,
Yeah.
right? I'm just like, so I'm like,
Just
hey,
connecting.
dude. Yeah, I'm like, hey,
Yeah.
where are you from, dude? He's like, here, and I'm like, oh, that's kind of fun, right? And he's like, not if you're trying to pay your rent.
Oh, Jesus.
And I was like, looked at my watch. I'm like, I'm fucking out of here.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't need to be around that kind of people.
yeah, that's tough.
So that was a fun little incident I had.
Yeah.
But we got on. Next day, we rode down PCH, went to the
Mm-hmm.
Magic Castle It's a castle. They have literally a castle. And you have to be invited by a magician or
Like
somebody
a real magician.
right, like Simon
Really?
hooked us up there.
No way.
A friend of ours, Simon, he's a magician. Yeah, right.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Yeah, he hooked us up there. So we and some of our friends that live there go there.
No way.
The performance was terrible. I wasn't happy with it, but that's what it was. Right?
Yeah. Are you
The
always the
food-
person trying to figure it out?
No,
Or do you
no, I'm
delight
the other
in...
way.
Yeah,
I'm the other way.
me too.
Yeah, I don't give a shit how it's happened. Just make me go, oh, that was cool.
Yeah.
That's all I want to do.
Yeah.
But this one kid, he was trying way too hard.
Oh, no.
And like telling a 10-minute story, then do a little trick. And it's like, dude, no, I'm not into that. No, not into that. And
Yeah, he needs to work on his stage presence, I
right.
suppose.
So it was.
Maybe he was new.
I know well, according to whoever introduced him, he was like world renowned and just got done off a European tour. And
Yeah, well,
anyway.
he was doing children's birthday parties in France or something.
Well, that's a European tour.
European tour.
So to drive down the PCH
Mm-hmm.
the previous day, it's pretty tiring. The weather was crappy.
Can I ask? So, because I would love to believe that in my mind, this is how it was happening in reality. I probably think it wasn't. Please tell me Val was in one of those amazing little side
Oh,
carts.
I wish. Oh, I would have done it in a
No, was
heartbeat.
she just behind you?
So her comment being on the back of the bike,
Yeah.
I have, we rented a new Harley, big
Okay.
Harley Davidson
You know, I used to write well, I should say motorcycle estimates when I worked at
at the insurance.
yeah.
And so Val gets on the back, and her thought was, I'm going to be hunched over you, kind of like on a crotch rocket where the passenger has to be leaning. And she goes, this is like sitting on a flying chair.
Yeah, no, it
You could,
is.
Yeah, you could have put two of Val's behind me. That's how
Sure.
much room was it? Because women are known to be on the larger side on that in that genre.
That
I'll
is,
say.
I've seen it.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
And Val is certainly not that. So
No. So we go down, beautiful motorcycle,
Yeah.
beautiful bike, and ride, great time. Next morning we go to the Magic Castle, and later that afternoon we get on the bike to go to San Diego. Go down the I say it was Highway 1 or Highway 10, but Val said it was another highway we were on. And the guy stopped in front of me, smashed into him. We went skidding down the
No
highway.
way.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
I totaled a brand new 2018 $25,000
I didn't
bike.
know this.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously you're okay. You're both
Yeah,
okay because
yeah.
you're both here. But I mean, what happened?
No, the guy, it is just crazy traffic, right?
Sure.
And
Welcome to, was it like in Los Angeles did it happen?
yeah, it was right in LA, and it was like, and the guy hit his brakes. I tried to slow down and
Which is different on a bike
bike,
than it is a car.
right.
So
I just got the bike.
you guys are lucky.
Yeah, I just got the bike pretty under control, and he slammed on his brakes again. Right, 100% my fault. I take
Yeah.
full responsibility
Yeah.
for it. I'm behind. So
Well, I'm glad you guys are okay.
yeah, and she popped off the back, bounced around, and then I slid down.
That had to be so
bottom.
scary.
What was scary about it is Asher, I'm telling you, all I cared about was making sure Val got off the highway.
Of course.
This dread went over my mind was
Well, because
I
she's
was gonna-
behind you and you can't see what's happening.
all I could think about. I'm
God.
going to turn around and watch her get run over.
Yeah.
That went
yeah,
through my
yeah.
mind, right?
Oh my God.
And then
Ugh.
I was listening to a podcast a couple days ago, and it was a guy that had a heart transplant, right? And he died. He went flatline and did all this, right? And he's like talking about. He's like, I'm at peace. Like people say that like your life flashes for you or whatever, however it happens. I saw Vale get off the road, and I was still trying to make things work, right? And it was crazy how peaceful I was. I was like
If anything happened to you.
I was good.
Yeah.
It was, and then for a week and a half after, I had these crazy nightmares that
Yeah.
something happened to Val, because
Yeah.
it's my fault, right? So
Sure.
you kind of run that. But anyway,
Yeah.
it's an adventure, right?
Yeah.
And a guy, I was all bandaged up at the
Sure.
poker table the next day, and this guy's like, "What happened?" I was like, I crashed on a motorcycle." And he's like, "Was your wife with you?" And I was like, "Yeah, she was with me." And he's like, "You could have killed her." I'm like,
Thank you.
I was like, "Hey, cool, dude. You know what?
It didn't happen.
Well, for one, it didn't, and the other thing too is she knows.
Yeah.
She's responsible when she gets on the back. She knows that something could happen.
Yeah.
Right?" And he's like, "That's why I don't ride a motorcycle." And I looked right at him. I go, "Dude, if you hide under your bed, eventually it's going to fall on you." Seriously, dude, if
Yeah.
that's what's keeping you.
I know.
And then I got talking to another person
Mm-hmm.
about that type of thing. I said, "I've crashed a lot on a motorcycle."
You have?
Yeah. It's part of it, right?
Yeah.
And they're like, "That's why I don't ride." And I go, "You know what though?
Mm-hmm.
If I didn't get back on, those amazing times that I had between each crash, I would never had because
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I would have never got back on.
Yeah.
And that's why I look at it.
And you have to look at it that way, because what are you going to do? Just be fearful. So my grandma, part of the reason why I was so sad when she passed, because I do have this outlook in life of, I do think that we go on. Well, this is just my thought. I do think that we continue, whatever that might look like. I have no idea.
That's your own.
Yeah.
Yep.
For me, it keeps me a good person, just knowing that I don't want karma to hit me in the ass in a future life, right? But my grandmother was terrified of literally everything. She was a woman that never traveled anywhere. She survived. She was a survivor. Oh my God. Like, she made almost no money at all. She made minimum wage literally her entire life. And she still managed to keep her home and pay all of her bills and do all of these things. So there are people that are living paycheck to paycheck.
Respect.
Yeah, that are making six figures. So, but she'd watch the news anytime. I'd call her all the time, of course, and she was, "Oh my God, did you see this on the news? Oh my God, did you see it? Oh, they're raping like old ladies in their houses and like all these things." So she just stayed in her house, like with the doors locked all the time. And I just felt for her because she led a pretty scared life forever.
Right.
And I know that I can't, she that was just one of her hurdles that she never got over. And so I always felt sad for her for that reason. But last summer, it was actually on the 4th of July last summer, I had wouldn't say like a near-death experience, but I had probably my first moment ever of like true panic where I thought like
Something could happen.
something's going to happen. So Artie and I were at the shore, and his family they just sold it in November, but they had a beach house in Ortley right on the beach. And so 4th of July last year, it was a nice day. We went out, we wanted to go into the water, and it was high tide. So, so the water was deeper than it normally would have been. And it was a little bit more rough than we realized too. And
What time of year was it?
it was 4th of July.
4th of July.
Yeah, it was 4th of July. So tide was in, and there were it was 4th of July, so the beach is packed with people.
Yeah.
It's a nice sunny day. Everyone was there, regardless of where the tide is. There weren't any. Like, people were still allowed in the water, so it wasn't like they were like, "There's a rip tide alert" or nobody's allowed in. It wasn't anything like that. It was just kind of rough waters, and it was the deepest I'd ever actually experienced ocean water. And neither of us were expecting it. And so I'm not much of a swimmer myself. So
You can keep yourself from drowning.
I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can survive, and I'm really good at backstroke, but like, that's pretty much it. But, and I used to have a phobia of the water just because of sharks and things like that. But I really got over that.
You watch too many scary movies.
Well, you know what it was? There was like a commercial I saw when I was 3 years old of like a shark coming out of a bathtub or something. I have no idea. I started taking showers at the age of 4 or 5 because I was like, I didn't take baths again until I was a teenager because of this one commercial. So it made no sense. I didn't even like deep ends of pools.
Well, it made sense to you at the time.
It's not like I knew it was rational.
Oh yeah, shark could definitely come up through the drain and eat you.
But yeah, it was ridiculous. But but I really got over just my fear of the ocean water in the last, I'd say, 5 to 6 years. So Artie and I get into the water, and we're trying to get out we see there are people out standing. So, there's a sandbar close.
Oh, okay.
And we just couldn't get there. And it's not even like it was that far. Like, we're talking like maybe 40, 50 feet. Like, it wasn't far, but the water, it was working against us. So I got tired really quickly. And anytime we tried to stop, I couldn't feel the bottom. So
Then
normally,
you panic.
so then I started panicking, and
I do the same thing.
and I couldn't. It was the first time I'd ever panicked. Like, I've had like anxiety and things like that, but it was the first time I ever panicked where I felt actually helpless. And Artie was trying to still get me out to the sandbar as opposed to trying to get me back in. And it's not like I'm blaming him for that. It was just like in the moment, like we were like, we just have to
help,
try. Yeah, we
right?
just have to try to get to the sandbar. And we realized like too late that we weren't going to make it out there. And he starts yelling help. And I start yelling help. And it's like people are in the water and people are just looking at us. And like I'm trying not to like yell because I'm now like I'm hyperventilating, and I'm just trying to keep an eye on like the next wave that's coming, because I literally see these waves coming, and I'm having the thought, I don't know if I can keep my head above this one, and I can't take a deep enough breath to
Float under it.
yeah, I couldn't. So it was really scary, and a woman ended up being close enough where she like came over and got me and like dragged me in. And I just remember feeling such relief that I'd never felt in my life, and being like dragged up onto the beach and everything. And I was just like, fuck, man, like I'd never experienced any like that. That was truly a situation that I couldn't help myself. I had to rely on someone else, and people weren't acting quickly enough, and it was driving the panic up. But the next day, I was like, I got to get back in.
If I don't get
back in, I'm going to be screwed. So a little bit more apprehensive, but also smarter. I was like, okay, is it low tide? All right, I'll go in. But I had to go back in.
So all the running around you guys do, and camping and hiking, and that's the closest you've ever come to an injury or tragedy?
Yeah. I mean, when we were in Yosemite last year, like it's not like anything happened, but it's definitely there's moments where you go like, shit, man,
shit.
like something real bad could happen here if you don't watch your footing.
Right.
Yeah, but yeah, like there was nothing. It's not like any. Thank God, neither of us have ever had like a slip where it's been like, whoa.
Or you ever been caught out in weather overnight?
No.
Okay.
No. When I was it wasn't with Artie. It was with a previous boyfriend of mine, and we went out with like a group. It was me and like 6 or 7 other guys, but we were in Glacier National Park, and there was one part of this hike that we were on where we were hiking to a place called Hole in the Wall. It's really cool. You can actually look it up on Google Maps and look at the satellite view. It's really, really, it's remote. We'll say that. And it's a 7-mile hike up and then a 3-mile hike down into this. I think that's about what it was. Into the place called Hole in the Wall.
And what's at the bottom?
So at the bottom it is. It's awesome. So when you're at the bottom of this, it's kind of like you're surrounded by these mountains, and I'm just throwing a number out there because I didn't really count them, but it seems like you're surrounded by like 17 like mini waterfalls, and they're like way off in the distance, but they all come
that's
down.
Kind of cool looking.
Yeah, all these
like
little
fairy tale.
streams. Yeah, all these streams kind of converge. And there's a grizzly bear that lives within that area. I can't remember how many square miles they cover, but there's definitely, we had binoculars and we were like, that thing's 300 yards away. That could get here in like just a few bounds.
I've always said country gets really small when there's a grizzly around.
Sure is.
Yeah.
But they don't want to be near you, and they just want to eat ground squirrels, and you have your bear spray with you. That seems like it would actually do nothing because it doesn't go very far.
Piss them off more.
Yeah, so when you're hiking down into Hole in the Wall, it's pretty narrow, and you got a big pack on, you got all that weight, and it's a counterweight, and you just throw your weight like a little bit for like a second in the wrong direction, and it was like, so that was like really the only time I've ever hiked and been like, I'm on a path that's like 18 inches wide right now, and it wasn't a sheer drop. Like you would have slid down, but
it would hurt.
The there's a lot of stuff on the way to hit, and nothing that would have really stopped you. So
Right.
would have sucked real bad.
You ever been to Yellowstone?
So no, I have. Artie has been. Artie's been.
It's like another planet.
I know.
It's beautiful.
I know. So
Crazy
that's on
beautiful.
the bucket list.
Right.
But then every year you hear of people that fall in to the freaking pools, and it's like,
Well, they're just being a dumbass.
well, exactly. And it's people that just don't like appreciate nature for the fact that it will beat you.
Well, no,
you're not going to beat nature.
What I say
Sorry.
about nature is nature doesn't give a shit about you.
Exactly.
So if you have that
Mm-hmm.
respect to nature, fine. But if you think, oh, I'm entitled, I can go stand over here and get a selfie for Instagram. Whoop, gone. God. Yeah, no.
It breaks my heart because I mean, it's like, I don't think that those are necessarily really stupid people that are doing that. It's just you had poor judgment in a moment and it cost you your life, and
Yeah.
it just sucks. But the morbid thing about Yellowstone is your body just dissolves
Gone.
and they're not finding
No,
you. There is
no.
nothing to send home to your mom and dad.
No.
And it's like, it's just crazy
Yeah,
because
that
it's just
place is-
all,
Well, it's a big volcano under there.
well, it's what is it?
Right.
It's all like sulfur and
And then the Tetons and all that right
Yeah,
there.
that's-
Oh, it's crazy beautiful. I've been
Yeah.
up there a couple times on my motorcycle.
yeah, I
Yeah.
can only
Oh,
imagine.
crazy.
Artie's another guy you want to get on here because he's done 2 cross country road trips where he's probably ticked off about like 16 or 18 national parks off his list. So and he planned the whole thing and mapped
Oh, wow,
out where
that's
he's
cool.
going, and he like couch surfed and he'd stay with people like during he just
Yeah. It's like those climbers now.
yeah.
I imagine it's been a big thing for a while, but now it's mainstream, right?
Yeah.
Where they, what's that, free something?
Free solo. Yeah.
Did you see that?
Oh,
Holy.
there's
That
not
took
a
my
movie.
breath away.
There's not a movie where I actually couldn't watch part of him when he was actually doing
The climbing
the
part?
climb. I had so much anxiety watching him. Obviously he made it out, but
Right.
it
Yeah,
was
the part there where the camera guy was on the side and he was like across and he's like walking like I would walk across my living room. He's like, hey, dude. I'm like, holy shit, dude, you're 3,000 feet above that.
yeah, like I clench up.
So
I'm
the
like,
question is, what'd you think of his girlfriend? Every time we talk about this movie, we talk about his girlfriend.
So I think that he has something going on where I just think he has trouble connecting with people. And I think that she was hoping that that would be something that she could get through to.
Well, I think to be climbing like that, you got to be a little
Unhinged? Sure.
unhinged is a good word. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a UFC fighter. I mean, somebody
Yeah.
like that. There's just got to be something
Yeah.
not clicking or clicking inside you that
Well,
makes you that way.
well, let's put it
It's
this
nothing right
way.
or wrong. It's just that's the way you are.
Well, let's put it this way. There are people that will never get on a motorcycle. You're never going to
That's a good point.
climb a mountain with not attached to a rope.
That
You know?
dude,
and people
that-
still die when they are attached. There were 2 people. I
yeah,
think
all
a
the
week
time,
after
man.
I was there last year, 2 guys like in their 40s that fell off of El Capitan, and they weren't
They were
they
roped?
weren't soloing. Yeah, they weren't free soloing. They
Yeah,
were,
the guy that free soloed, I don't know,
yeah.
I can't remember his name. He probably won't get on a motorcycle, but he'll go do that.
Well, yeah. I
Right?
mean, it's there are people that jump out of planes and all that,
You ever,
that stuff.
you ever do that?
No, I would do that.
It's on my bucket list.
Yeah, I would do that. There's
I wanna
there's
skydive.
plenty of places in New Jersey too,
Yeah,
I think.
yeah.
But there's somebody that passed away recently, and he had like 2,000 hours or 2,000 jumps. I don't know how they measure
Okay.
it, but he had a lot under his belt. But his parachute didn't open, and his spare didn't. And
Do you think you die before you hit the ground?
I don't know.
Have
There's
a
got to be some
fucking heart
data
attack,
there.
Right? Like,
know
how do
what?
you measure that?
Have you ever thought about like what if it like what would you do? I think I would just be very calm.
Be like, man, fuck it. Well, there's this
Yeah,
one
what are you gonna
comedian.
what are you gonna do?
Well, there's this one
Just
comedian
be
said
stressed
that.
out in your last moments? No thanks.
Yeah, he, like you said, I agree.
Mm-hmm.
I think our energy that runs
Yeah.
our covered
Yeah,
skeleton
meat suits, man.
goes somewhere, right? And this one
Yeah.
comedian, I thought it was George Carlin, but I don't think it is. He's like, if you're in a plane and
Mm-hmm.
it's crashing, what the hell are you scared for? He goes, you're just moving on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So enjoy it. Woo! And he's like, puts his hands up.
Throw
And he's
your
like,
arms
you're
up. Yeah. Ooh.
I think that would be. I think that.
Yeah.
I mean, that would be tough to do because
Well, here's my philosophy on things. Oh, so this morning, here's what happened to me this morning. I don't know if you saw on Facebook, but I I lost my wallet. And I'm pretty sure I lost it last night. Artie and I went to this community theater out in Cranford to watch one of his friends in a play. And
Cranford.
What?
Cranford.
Yeah, which I'm never in Cranford. So it was like, oh, that's where I had to lose my freaking wallet. So I thought I had it. I mean, I tore apart the house. I tore apart the car. I retraced my steps to and from the car. I ended up driving all the way out to Cranford today to see, okay, did it fall out where I was parked? Retraced my steps on the walk into the theater, and it was like, all right, can't find it. I gotta just close out
Close everything out, start over.
Yep. And so that's where my head was already. And it was kind of like, I had some cash in there. Luckily, I didn't have hundreds of dollars, but I had like $50 in cash, a couple of gift cards. All right, that's a lost cause.
Yep.
Do what I got to do. And it's just like, you take action where you have the ability to control,
right.
And then the things you can't control, it's like, why even worry?
Mm-hmm.
So sure, you could have caught me on a bad day where that might have gotten bent out of shape, but like it's a beautiful day today. At least it wasn't pouring rain. I checked my accounts to make sure nobody ended up charging anything.
Well,
it was just
and nowadays with credit cards, you just call them up and be like, "Hey,
yeah, thank God it's easy now."
Yeah,
but,
that's not me, and they're like, "Okay."
Well, yeah, and so thank God for that. But it was just like, you take action where you have control. Where you don't, it is what it's just whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and you deal with it as it comes. And you can't control everything. And so many people, I mean, I know a lot of people too, where it's like they have so much anxiety around the unknowns, and it's like, I just don't.
Yeah,
I
me
just
neither.
don't.
Val and I don't operate that way either.
I could have gone into surgery and not woken up, and it was like, you know what? It's been a good run.
Yeah.
I would like to think that I made the smallest of all impacts. Like maybe there's some little butterfly effect that came out of my life.
Well, the thing is too, I feel I came to the conclusion why I was so calm in my motorcycle accident was because I'm good.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yeah.
Like you said, I made a good run.
Yeah. So
what's next with you guys?
What is next? I mean, I suppose, let's see. Really, we're just thinking about going to the Smokies.
No big trips planned to like China or Antarctica or anything like that?
If we're going to go anywhere, the first place he wants to go is Italy, and that's not really on the list. That's on the list, but it's not in the foreseeable future.
Right.
But, we're thinking about the Smokies. We like driving, so we'll figure out a way to, drive down there. I would love to figure out how to do a cross-country road trip with him because, we just travel so well together.
Yeah, so do we.
We're just best buds, and when you've got like us together on the road, it's just like, we do this even on the weekend. Like we'll just get in the car and drive down to Lambertville or New Hope or something and, putz around there, and we'll just go on drives just to look at the scenery, like drive up to the Del Water Gaps to drive all through there and just look.
Yeah. Park and walk around a little bit and then come back.
See the sights and that's it. So
plenty around here to do.
Yeah, think about doing that for, across the country because there's so many places I haven't seen.
Too, with driving, what I always found, I love driving too.
Yeah.
Especially cross country.
Yeah.
You see the sign, this is the biggest ball of yarn. You're like, let's go see that.
Yeah, man.
What
am I going to have the opportunity to see that?
You see signs like a local fair or something that you would miss. You take a half a day and you go and check it out.
Yeah,
you never know what comes out of it.
What my dream would be to have enough time where we wouldn't have to be constrained with, all right, we got to get to the next thing, and just go. So like a good month, month and a half just to do that. I would. That would be wonderful.
So if you go on, I think you guys would like this too. Val and I looked into it very little, and we'll looking at to it again. As you know, that 800 rent RV or whatever it's called, right? So they have a system to where you get on an email list, and they'll say, we have a bunch of the fleet and Yellowstone, since we were talking about Yellowstone that needs to come back to Alabama.
Ooh.
And they charge you $25 a day.
What? So you'd fly out there and then drive it back?
Yeah.
Wow. You got to send me that.
Just if you just go on their website, there's a
what is it?
It's like you'll have to research it, but it's those campers and RVs that have like the paintings on the side, and it's like rent 1-800 rent RV or something.
I'll Google it.
I met a lady playing
Google
poker. She's retired, and that's all she does.
Really?
Yep. And she goes, it's crazy. She goes, and if you look at, and she went from like Mexico, New Mexico, to like the East Coast somewhere. And she lives up around here.
Okay.
And she goes, the cost of me flying there, $25 a day driving it. And she goes, and sometimes there's really no time limit.
Sure.
So if you wanted to do like a month, they'd be like,
They just say you just need to have it here, like in this location. That's where
by
we
a
need it.
certain date.
Okay.
But you could be like, hey, can I go 3 weeks? And they're like, yeah, as long as you get it back to this location.
That is so cool.
And then flying home was cheaper than renting it if you called them and said, hey, I want to rent it for, right. So with you guys running around like we do,
Yeah.
I thought maybe that would be something you'd be just
Yeah.
put it on a list, and if it works out, great. If it don't, whatever.
Yeah.
But,
Whatever RV we get, and it just has to be tall enough to fit him so he can walk.
well, that's the other. Yeah,
yeah.
that's the
So
other
being
thing.
6'4", it's a little difficult for
Yeah,
him.
so you're not going to go Japan.
No.
He wouldn't
No.
fit well.
Do you know
over
how
there.
many people would probably just want to take pictures with him because he's very?
He's so big.
I don't see it until I'm with him with other people, and I go, "Holy shit, he is huge!"
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
he's
Well,
just
you get used to it, right?
Well,
It's
yeah, I'm
relative
so
to you.
used to it until I'm in public with him. I go, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, yeah.
Like last night at the theater, it was like we have to sit all the way in the back, so
back.
you're not. Yeah, but
And
yeah,
on the
he's
end,
a big guy.
I
But
usually
it's
look for an end seat because I just
Oh yeah, because you're a big guy. How tall are you?
6 foot,
Yeah. Okay. All right.
but I'm a little wider than average.
Yeah.
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 So-
Yeah. You and Artie are both like trees.
Well, on that note,
Yeah.
thanks for coming down.
Well, thank you
sharing
for
your
having
story.
me. This was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
I'll let you. I'll get you a heads up when it posts. But
Yeah,
send me that
please.
picture so I can put it on.
Yep. Picture of the kidney. I will gladly.
Yeah.
And
Gotta show a picture of the kidney. People love that shit.
I know. So as long as they have a strong stomach, I suppose.
Nah. Nowadays, what's on the internet, that's no
That
big deal.
is true.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Thank you all.
Talk to you.
Take care.